our first guest, Dr. Elina Berglund, and she is joining us live a couple hours in a different time zone. So she is the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Natural Cycles, which is the world's first app to be certified specifically for contraception. So Elina, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here, but much later in the evening for you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's very exciting.
This is a really exciting thing happening overall, and you've been working on this app for several years now, and you have quite a bit of background, but let's just start off with an overall broad question. Fill us in on what Natural Cycles is.
So, as you mentioned, Natural Cycles is the first certified contraceptive app. Basically, the core of the product is the algorithm that runs in the background of the app that analyzes women's body temperature to detect their ovulation, to tell them when they're fertile, and most importantly, tell them when they are not fertile. So it works like this, that a woman measures her temperature in the mouth in the morning when she wakes up, enters it into the app, and then the algorithm runs in the background and returns a red day if there's risk of fertility, and hence she has to use protection, or a green day if there's no risk of fertility, and she can go ahead.
And it's really quite fascinating, quite amazing, the work and the knowledge that you have put into this. And you do have quite a background. You are a doctor, you are a physicist, and you have quite the background. You're part of the team that discovered the Higgs particle, which led to the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2013. Just how has your background in physics and science boiled down to making an app that can really help so many people in family planning?
Well, basically, I use my knowledge in particle physics to develop the algorithm behind Natural Cycles. So to discover the Higgs particle, it was all about, collecting a lot of data and basically finding a needle in a haystack. So you really had to understand, fluctuations in data and statistics. So I took that knowledge and applied it to the quite well-known field of, natural family planning, but took away the human error in the sense that women had to analyze their own temperature and apply simple rules, and instead we have this clinically proved algorithm that makes it more effective because it removes the human error and because it learns with more and more data with time, since every woman's cycle is unique.
Yeah, it's really so fascinating. As you say, it learns over time, so people, as you use it more and more, it gets better and better. Talk to me just a little bit about the percentages, how effective it is, and compare it to other birth control methods, because there has been a lot of research that has gone into this, and you have those numbers.
Exactly. So the clinical studies we've done together with some of the best professors in gynecology in the world show that the app is basically about the same effectiveness as the pill. So that means that as a typical use, 7 women out of 100 get pregnant a year. And that includes that they don't use protection on red days, even though they should, etc. While 5 women out of 1,000 in a year get pregnant because our algorithm gives them the wrong green day. So both these numbers are very comparable with the pill for typical and perfect use. So it's not as effective as, like contraceptive methods that are inside your body, like the IUD or the hormonal implants, but it is as effective as the pill.
Which makes sense too, because there's always that method of taking the pill at the same time every day if you're using that. And I was reading, it helps if you are taking your temperature at the same time, around the same time every day, correct?
Yes, we usually say that there's a plus-minus 2-hour window, and if you miss that, it's better not to measure. This is, however, more such that you get more green days rather than unwanted pregnancies. So that's also one difference, is that if you forget to take the pill, then you're not aware of that, and hence not using protection, although you need to. But if you forget to measure your temperature, you might get another red day, but it doesn't affect how safe the method is.
Okay. So what was kind of your background as you go into this? What made you really want to find something as you are looking into developing an app like this?
So I founded Natural Cycles together with my husband, who's the CEO of the company, and we basically developed this from our own need of an effective natural birth control method. I didn't want to take hormones anymore because I knew that we wanted to have children in a few years, and I wanted my body to get back to normal first. And I was researching what kind of product was out there, and I didn't find any effective or reliable natural birth control methods. But then I did discover that you can see in your temperature when you ovulate, and that's kind of how it started. And quite quickly, we also realized that this is actually a huge unmet need among women and couples all over the world, and that's I think what's the most exciting about this work that we're doing with Natural Cycles, to see the users' feedback and how they really enjoy learning about their bodies instead of changing it, and how they like using Natural Cycles.
And that's what I was kind of curious to ask you about. What has feedback been? Because it is certified as a form of contraception, which is a huge step, not only in the medical field, but in the technology field. But people are also using this for family planning, I'm sure. People want to know, and people have been tracking their cycles forever, in order to make the next step when they're going to have a baby. So what has it been like for you, and what has feedback been like for you from users all over?
So yes, indeed, about 25% use our app to plan a pregnancy instead of preventing pregnancy. And there are 2 settings in the app, so the app is a little bit different. And what we see in our clinical data is that those who actually use the app first to prevent pregnancies, they get pregnant very, very fast once they're ready, because the app knows their body and they know their body themselves. So that's that works really well. And the feedback that we get is, maybe many people think that the most positive feedback we get is from users who manage to get pregnant on the app. Actually, we get most of our positive feedback we get is from prevent users using the app to prevent pregnancies, because they feel so much better because they don't have to take artificial hormones anymore, and they finally understand their bodies. They also know, like, oh, this is why I feel bad those days of the month, or they start to really understand themselves, and they feel very empowering.
It's an absolutely fascinating concept to be able to use technology to a certain degree, and to then have that technology continue to get better over time to help us. As you continue to develop this and to continue to have more and more press, I've kind of followed the story along, and so it's been great to be able to chat with you about this. Talk to me just a little bit about the technology itself, because we're looking at it, we looked at it from the medical point of view. Now let's talk about the technology itself. So it's an app that's available. Tell me just about your user base. Is it a subscription service? Can you get it through health insurance? How does it work like that?
It is a subscription service. Everyone can try the app 1 month for free, and then you have to choose between a monthly subscription or a yearly.
Okay.
Most of our users choose yearly, because then we send them a basal thermometer to their home for free, so that's included in the yearly price. So that's what most users choose, of course. What was the second question?
Oh, I'm curious, because now that the European Union has certified this as a form of contraception, I'm wondering if maybe health insurers will get on board and it'll be covered by health insurance, or if you might be able to say, yeah, we'll take health insurance.
Yes, it's not covered by health insurance today, but this is something we are indeed working on. So hopefully it will be covered, at least in some countries, in the future. And also, one exciting thing is that we submitted to the FDA just a few weeks ago. So we're hoping to also soon be certified in the United States.
Wow, congratulations. So getting that moving. What are the thoughts as you move forward for FDA approval? What are the thought process on that?
Well, I think it's several thousand pages of documentation that we submitted, so it's a lot of documentation, not just about our clinical data, but also about from how we release the app, how we test the app, to how we hire people. Like, it's really important that there's quality in every step of what we do in the company. So that's exciting, and yeah, it's of course, I think, quite a lengthy process. So we don't really know how long it will take until we do get FDA certification. But it is exciting because FDA hasn't certified a medical device for contraception in 15 years. So it will be something, yeah, quite new, especially since we're an app.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's very exciting and interesting to think about, and pretty neat that it's the first app to be certified worldwide. Another technology question, because this is private personal health information, are there ads within the app? Can anybody access this? Like, do you guys sell the information? I would think not, but you never know. You have to ask, right?
Yeah, no, of course not. That's why we have a subscription. Why it's not for free is because we do not want to sell the data, and we do not want to show ads because it's a very private and sensitive topic. So you don't want ads in your birth control methods. That's for sure.
No kidding. Hey, but you have to ask, right? You never know. When it comes to people having personal information on their phones, you never know. So it's always good to find that out. Elina, what else would you like people to know as we're continuing to find out more information and people out there, using apps for different services, whether it's contraception or maybe starting a family?
Yeah, I do think that this is really a first step into where technology really allows for taking preventive actions instead of treatments. And I think we'll see more and more apps like this in the future. So it's a very exciting space, combining health and technology. Otherwise, one thing that's always important to point out, which is maybe obvious, but still important, is that the app, of course, does not protect against STDs. So then you should always wear a condom.
I think that's a great thing to point out as well. Sometimes it seems self-explanatory, but always a good thing to point out as well as you are moving forward in your life choices. So it's been such a pleasure to speak with you today. I thank you so much for taking the time for us. You're in Stockholm, correct? Or that's where the headquarters are, but is that where you are?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for staying up a little bit later with us as we continue throughout our afternoon, and you're headed into your evening hours. So we really appreciate you joining us.